Live from Tijuana, Mexico. Here I am with
Ken Fogel,
Ken. Now, where are you originally from?
Rhode Island.
No kidding.
Yes.
I heard you guys got the best police uniforms in the world. I saw John Candy in that. So what brought you all the way across the country?
Well, obviously, following you for many years and not getting a chance to get out here, finally, about 10 years ago, I had my fourth concussion in a truck accident. And going through that progression was not successful at all, and limiting me to what I could do throughout my life. And then finally, getting somewhat my cognitive stuff back and being able to function and getting on a plane, like things like that, was able to come out here with some opportunity. And then I visited you in Huntington Beach, and obviously here in Tijuana now, and finally get out here with the services and just your analysis, the whole process, and but which I expected following you for so long.
God bless you.
Didn't cease to amaze at all, and even probably went above and beyond my experience once I got here and experienced the facilities of the whole. The whole team that's in place here, from dental to the holistic blood work and the testing and obviously the chiropractic, all coming together. And my struggles throughout the last decade of dealing with my cognitive issues that were very much shunned upon to want to do any sort of aggressive approach to getting to the root cause. Other than the pharmaceutical approach and the advice of do as little as possible to avoid seizures and situations of that kind of.
I mean, one concussion is devastating. It's a bruise on the brain. To survive 4 concussions,
yep,
brother, you got an angel in your shoulder.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Dan, think of this, okay? Particularly in our society. You got all these experts talking to you about how, this is the approach and it's not working and effective. What inside of you the thought that there's something different? Have you always been an independent thinker? I mean,
can you believe that?
Dude, you're going against the whole freaking world.
Yes.
Okay, but you're finding solutions.
Yeah.
Have you always been like...
In every aspect of my life, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank God. Thank you, God.
Yeah. So once coming out here and getting the exam and not even knowing the background that I just fed you when I started last year, and then going over the x-ray and pointing out the very specific degeneration phases in the spine, telling me without me letting him know when I had an injury and at what time in my life. So I started when I was preteen playing football. I had an injury when I was playing baseball. I took a knee to the head in a collision. Playing football, I was in a car accident when I was younger to the frontal, and then my one 10 years ago that jammed my head up top. And you described it to a T looking at my spine X-ray. That was that was above and beyond.
It's kind of like one of those tradesmen like Daniel Boone reading a map or reading a trail sign. But think of the history of this. So if you got kids that have had concussions or traumas in flag football or junior high school or wrestling or high school, and now they have anxiety or stress or depression or bowel disorders or all those stress-related problems, look at 3 things: physical, chemical, and emotional stress. Mm-hmm. But what can you tell people? Because, I mean, that's a history of being just a normal kid.
Okay.
And even when I'm doing an exam on people, I'll say, have you had concussions in the past? And most people will say, huh? No, not really. Then I'll translate it to our language. Did you ever see stars or had your bell rung? Okay. And
Exactly. I mean, we didn't translate concussions back in in the 80s, late 70s into the 80s. And we just went about our lives. So, and then to my final dinger in like 2012, when there was more research on this and information and somewhat of an approach by neurospecialists, and then seeing the lack of approach and studying you for years, I knew how to get out here, and I just knew where the right place was.
For anybody with traumatic brain injury, understand the brain, okay, and this, it still amazes me. I mean, I've taught human dissection for years. It's a kilo, 2.2 pounds, okay, burns 90% of the body's oxygen, creates its own food, burns 30% of the body's calories. It creates cerebral spinal fluid that is produced inside of the brain and flows down the brain, down the spinal cord to give nutrients to that entire central nervous system, okay? And if you have a altered structure, that fluid can't drain. That's why, like, because we look at the sutures of the skull, and you could feel hot, flamed, and tender, but just a few days, it's I know. It's just
blown away. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all I can say is it's above and beyond. It's just, when you come here and you meet all the people, especially who are going through different experiences, all going through the same experience when they get their eyes opened to being walked right through it. Never mind watching it on the videos, but once you get here and you start walking through it and you see this man in action, especially when you're training people, it's even more of a great experience of what you're pointing out and doing. You know, the action reaction that he's pointing out in live time as we're doing things is just it's phenomenal.
Yeah, well, and I'm blessed. I've been looking for one of the docs I'm training is back here. We're a gift from God. Trust me on this, brother. It's so hard to find people. It's most everyone. They already know everything. Okay, me, I'm willing to learn everything all the time. So I mean, talented and willing to learn.
Yeah.
So what could you tell someone out there that has had, because it's stressful, they might not equate it with the trauma or concussion or something they had 20, 30 years ago.
Right. Well, a lot of things like you don't realize the digestive orders that you have, gastrointestinal, visual, constant sinus issues that I was kind of having, and pressure especially after my last one, I had pressure in my head. I was describing to my neurospecialist. It wasn't a headache, but like a pressure. It feels like it's right in the middle of my skull, and they just didn't want to touch it. And then it's just little things like that you don't realize that we've been so conditioned to think are acceptable and just treatable with pharmaceuticals, prescriptions, and maybe even some exercises, and get some advice of maybe changing your eating habits here and there at best. But going through what you have to go through, always starting with the chemical, the chemical, physical, emotional stresses that originate from the spine, and then working your way out, getting your parasympathetic and sympathetic in balance. And once you, I just can't say enough, things like that, get here, go through the experience, and your life will change. I witness it every single day that I'm here, with myself and with the people who come from all over different countries, different states.
It is miracles. We've got a community. You just said a trigger word for me, the neurospecialist. Mm-hmm. Oh God, that irritates the hell out of me. Because if they don't explain the gut-brain connection, if they don't talk about neuroplasticity, if they don't talk that the brain can regenerate and that the brain is adapting, and this means through the three stressors, just like you said, take care of yourself. Find the reason. Your body is made in the image and likeness of God. You were designed to live here. If you get these, I said something bad, a specialist that might not be effective. I don't know if pepper spray is legal in Rhode Island, but that might be a little too aggressive. No, take care of yourself.
We're getting there.
Okay, yeah, and God, develop the strength and courage to have yourself guided. Follow that inner voice. God bless you. I'm so glad you did.
Bless you, brother.
Take care. God bless you.
Yeah.
I love you, man.